Okay, recording started. There we go.
Go.
Awesome. All right. We are talking with Jay Kender today, kind of sort of live, but not it's live recorded. He is coming to us from what looks like to be Texas, and I am in
Yep.
Florida with a Texas background, as you can see.
There you go.
We're talking today about online lead funnel and which online leads are where on the funnel. And the reason why I want to kind of like educate our audience on this is because, as you probably know, I work for Realty.com as their VP of Success and Development. And I have spoken to a lot of our clients who feel that, I guess, when they get leads from Zillow or OpCity or any of the other online lead generation sources, they feel like they should all transact at the same exact time. And I just want to educate them to the fact that that's not how this works. And you've been in the game a lot longer than I have. You're a lot more knowledgeable than I am. Jay Kender, he is with eXp Realty. He is my upline. He is my sponsor, or one of my sponsors, and a huge mentor, coach. This guy is incredible at everything he does. I mean, look at the baseball cards or the football cards behind you. Basketball cards, all of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I'm
Jay,
obsessed.
go ahead and introduce yourself. And
Yeah. 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 I mean, I love this topic, man. One of the things that I know is a fact for every agent is, if I ask any agent or anybody who's watching, if you had more leads, do you think you would sell more houses? The answer is always yes. Right. And so, the real question is how, understanding marketing and understanding where someone is in the process of actually making the decision to buy or sell. And how you generate those leads, what content you send those leads, like how those conversations go, and how you follow up is going to really determine your success in real estate. And while all of us are ready for since we're back in Texas right now, we live in Puerto Rico, but we're here in Texas now, and Amazon delivers same day. Sometimes we're like, what? This is amazing, right? Everybody wants something right now, but the real opportunity in lead generation is around understanding timing and motivation and nurture and how to turn leads long term into money. And once you tap into something like that, you can do it at a much lower cost per lead. A lot of these referral companies over the years that that I've done business with, or I've seen a lot of agents do business with, they want to charge 30-40% of the commission as a referral fee. Why? Because
they're going higher now too. I just got word from Zillow that they're thinking about going up to 50% on their Zillow.
So if they and what they're doing is they're doing this part that we're talking about today. They're trying to find that buyer when they're nurture them until they're ready to do something, and then send in that referral, and they're more valuable just because they know how to do more of this. So this essentially is worth 50% of your commission if you can understand and learn what we're talking about today, because this is where the money's at. If you can find leads that are earlier in the process that haven't gone to Zillow or don't have an agent that they're working with, and you can establish yourself as the credible opportunity, or person to work with them, you're going to do really well with lead generation and conversion of those leads. And so definitely have a lot of experience in this. My backstory, been in the business now 26 years. I used to sell 500 plus homes a month, was number 2 in the world for Coldwell Banker. Coaching, I started a coaching company. We coached agents all around the country. And the main focus we always had, not only just helping them, with the business of building the business. I think that was really more what we were focused on, but marketing. I spent a ton of money in marketing. A lot of things didn't work. A handful of things that do. We paid a lot of the top marketers in the world a lot of money to learn, the best way to lead generate and to have the highest conversion, lowest cost per lead, highest quality leads, all those types of things. And so, so I have a little bit of an experience in doing this and helping agents to scale it. So happy to be here, Tony.
Well, thank you so much for that. And I love that you touched a little bit on where they're at in the funnel. As most of you all know that are watching, I am one of the newer employees with Realty.com. I am their VP of Success and Development. And I've been speaking with a lot of our current clients and also some newer clients. And I just feel like we need to touch a little bit on different lead sources that you purchase are going to be at different parts of the funnel. And when we say funnel, I'll let you go through that here in a second. But you have top of funnel, middle funnel, and you have bottom funnel. And typically when you're on the top, you're just starting your search. Middle, you're obviously in the middle of your search, and bottom, you're ready to transact probably within a 2 to 3 month range. So when you're purchasing online leads, you definitely want to make sure that you are asking that question to the salesperson or the coach or whoever it is that you're speaking with to purchase those online leads, where their lead sources are, like where their consumers are in that funnel. Because some people, so like Realty.com, we're probably more middle to top of funnel. So you're going to they're going to transact usually between 6 to 9 months. It's not now. That's not to say you're not going to get a couple that, low hanging fruit. It's going to fall off the tree. You got it, and you transact within the first couple of months. That can happen, but it's not going to be the same across the board with all of your online lead sources. No. So if you can dive a little bit deeper for us, Jay, into that. I know you're a master at this. I should have actually brought your brother on as well, but
yeah. Braden, yeah, my son, yeah, he's doing this at another level, yeah. I love that. I love it when people say that he's my brother, because that makes me feel younger. But he's been helping, build funnels and stuff for agents for a long time, and this really goes back to like at the very fundamental like principles behind it is understanding message to market match. So when you're lead generating, for instance, and you want to generate a lead that's that's maybe ready to do business sooner than later, what message you put into the market is going to matter, right? So let's say if it was a home value, a home valuation ad, if you just say, find out your home's value, and you put that Facebook up ad, you're going to get a lot of leads from that, at probably a higher cost per lead, but you'll get a lot of people that come through. But it's not, those people might be not, if you talk to, 20 to 30% of those leads, let's say, as a general rule of thumb, maybe you make contact with 20% of them, let's say. So you get 10 leads, you talk to 2 people, and on average, they're going to probably be doing business, in the next 12 months, right? They're thinking of moving in the next 12 months. It's rare that that's going to be somebody that is looking to do something right away. Why? Because the offer was just to find out what their home's value is. It could be for any number of reasons. They may not be selling at all, but most likely they're earlier in the process. If they're not, sometimes you might get one that's ready to sell right away, but that's not going to be the norm, right? That's what we're talking about. Right. So that's, that's the top of the funnel. And with targeting and with, being more specific, let's say we ran an ad that said, sell your home for cash, right? And that was the offer. A lead that comes through from that might be more interested in selling right away, right? So that makes sense. The message to market match. If you're looking for someone that wants to sell right away, a cash offer is going to be probably more likely someone who's thinking of doing something sooner than later, right? It just makes sense. And so there's ways that you can, through marketing, try to generate higher quality leads, but the real opportunity is generally going to be, where someone's not already working with an agent, whether it's a buyer lead or a seller lead, is going to be in understanding the nurture process. So, and Tony, I don't even know if you know the story or not, but when me and Mike started the brokerage in Dallas, before we moved over to EXP, we had a philosophy where we were generating leads online at a pretty high cost per lead. This was like 2016, so it was not expensive by today's means, but it was probably $20 per lead, somewhere in that range. And we were generating all these leads, and we had a company that we were partnered with called Leads Today, and we had generated 150,000 home seller leads. And Mike goes in and looks at the data, and essentially over a 12-month period, only 10% of those leads had actually ever went active, pending, or sold. So in a 12-month period, 150,000 leads all across the country for agents everywhere. Go back into the MLS and look and say, how many of them actually did anything? And it was only 10%. And so Mike had this crazy idea. He said, I think we could probably pay ISAs to call every homeowner and any, specific marketplace. And if you look at the turnover rates of neighborhoods, 8% to 10% is a good neighborhood to farm if you had that much turnover. And so we started doing that for agents. And what we found was that as we found, and this doesn't matter whether it's lead generation or if you're just having an ISA making calls or whatever the case may be, but the point is that after 8 months of doing this, I think we had 12 agents, 12 ISAs. Like, we were building the technology while we were doing it, hiring the ISAs while we were doing it. So like, this was like building the plane, flying the plane while we're building it. Right. We had we did 272 transactions in that 12-month period, starting from scratch, because we understood that there was a pipeline of nurture that we were building. That was the goal. That if we accidentally sold somebody right away, great. But that wasn't what the model was based on. It was based on understanding timing and motivation and nurture. And if somebody says, hey, we're thinking about selling in the next 12 months, or hey, we're thinking about buying in the next 12 months, we wanted to make sure that we properly followed up with them to become their agent when the time was right. That was building up the pipeline of potential deals for the agents that we were partnering with. And that's really where the money's at, because these agents haven't spoke to these consumers haven't spoke to an agent usually at this point. They're way early in the process. Some of them will sell, some of them won't. But the bottom line is we're approaching someone who's early in the process and then trying to provide value and add value to them as they get closer to making that decision. So they choose us as the agent. And so a qualified nurture in our book was somebody who's thinking of doing business in the next 12 months and they're open to doing business with us. That's a qualified nurture. And we counted that and put it on the board as as good as that. For us, it was as good as putting something under contract, because we knew a certain percentage of those were going to become deals. And so,
I love that you said that, because I said this yesterday in one of my posts I made was, if you get to text, email, or speak to a consumer that raised their hand, that's a quality lead.
Yeah.
Whether they transact with you or not is going to be up to you and how you nurture them.
Right.
And so if they don't transact with you and you say, well, that was a shitty lead anyways, chances are, like you said, if you go check the MLS, they probably transacted with somebody else that gave them some value. So what type of value do you add to those type of leads?
Yeah. So think about it this way. So you want to, what are the questions, and this is like in marketing, this is what where really good marketers really start to understand this, is like, what's going on? What's the conversation that they're having at the dinner table, right now, right, about this move? Should we sell? Man, we've got a low interest rate. I don't know if we should sell. What are we going to buy if we buy? And do they have to sell? Do they not have to sell? Should they wait? These are the types of conversations that they're having at the dinner table that maybe they didn't have with you on the phone. And so because it's early in the process and they're trying to decide whether they should do something or not. Right. And so, and now again, every once in a while, you're going to generate a lead where somebody lost a job or got a new job and they've got to sell. That's great. They have high motivation,
kids, right? Or whatever.
But the people that are making a decision to move and they're in the process of determining whether they're going to do that, they have questions that they have in their mind. And so if you can provide them valuable content as it relates to going through that process, for instance, market updates, sending market updates. Should you sell now or should you wait? And create content around those topics. And here's the 5 things you should consider if you're thinking of selling in the next 12 months. If you create content and start educating them and adding value, what does that do? It builds trust, right? So now they're looking to you as the trusted advisor. Oh my gosh, they're like, were you sitting in my living room listening to our conversation? This is exactly what I was wanting to know, right? So you want to add value. The key in anything you want to do in life is you have to learn how to add value to people. That's really the secret. And so when you start thinking, okay, if I was a year away from thinking of selling my property and I was either moving up, moving down, or moving away, what are all the things? What are the 10 headlines I could create for content that I could be putting out to and the way I would do it today is based on what the success I see a lot of agents having is I would put this stuff on YouTube, because people are searching these types of things and looking for it anyways. And so, you create a YouTube playlist with the 10 topics around that, and you drip that on them over time. And as they consume these videos, it's going to build trust, meaning you're not just that one random person they talk to that they didn't even know they were going to have to talk to when they clicked on that link, right? To now you're more the trusted advisor and you've helped them get to a certain point. And so that's the way you want to think about nurture. You can build this and automate this. It's not just about, hey, you said you were going to move in 12 months and you're calling them in 6 months to say, hey, is that still the case? Right. That's right. That you definitely want to do that. But also with technology today, you can know when somebody's clicking on something and watching something. So now that, hey, they're back looking at this content again. Maybe I should just check in on them and be more efficient. And I think that's the hardest part about, nurtures. And if you don't have a good system and a good process for follow-up, who do you look at your database today, how many names are in it, who you can call today, right? You wake up every day not being clear on who you should follow up with. And so, it's really marrying the technology with, the content and the conversation. So, and again, it starts with it, the measurement of success with lead generation is conversations per day. So if you're not having if you don't have that initial conversation where you're establishing timing and motivation, and if they're, what we consider a qualified nurture or a qualified prospect, right? So, if somebody said they were selling their home in 12 months, would you go meet with that seller? Would that be a qualified appointment for you? It wouldn't be for me. I would want to, nurture and follow up with them until the time was closer where it made more sense for me to go physically meet with them. And so you kind of have to have your own criteria for what is a qualified appointment set, right? So like when we had ISAs making these calls, you can't set an appointment, and get paid as an ISA if it's somebody who's not moving for 12 months. That's not a qualified appointment. I wouldn't want to send an agent out on that appointment. But a qualified nurture is just somebody who is thinking about making a move and they're open to doing business with you, and they gave us permission to market to them. That was the third piece of it. Is, hey, would it be okay if I sent you some information just on what's going on in the marketplace and kind of keep you up to date between now and the time you make that decision. And so now you have permission to market to them. So now they're in a totally different basket. I treat those people totally different.
Now you open it up, open the funnel, and just let them go. A quick question on that. And some agents have asked me this before. Once you do that first initial talk or text or email back and forth, is it okay or is it too creepy to go on social media and find them and follow them?
Yeah, man, that's a good one. I don't think that's because what is the intent there, right? Like, I would much rather, because this is the beautiful thing about marketing. Like, there's traffic that you don't control, and then there's traffic you do control, right? So like once somebody has became a lead and you have their contact information, you control everything that you send to them and everything that you want them to consume. Going on their social media and following them, what's the purpose, right? Like, it's a little creepy, right? To be honest, we're not friends. Why you trying to friend request me? You know what I'm saying? Like, so, unless it does something that adds value and builds trust, I think it diminishes trust, right?
Okay.
So while me being the hustler that I was back when I was a kid I'd have probably friend requested all of them. You know what I'm saying? And
well, not so much friend request either, but like, and I think I heard this from you and maybe even Ryan Stuman a couple of times. He's like, the people that you want to be a part of your circle or part of your world, you have to start transacting with them on social media, not necessarily friending them, but maybe like their post or maybe make a comment on something that you guys have in common. So maybe they like jogging or running or surfing, whatever.
Certainly, yeah. Certainly that's certainly the case for sure. And so, I mean, I definitely think that you can start to build a relationship that way. I think you're better served because you have control of it. Now you can retarget them. You can email to them, you can send them information that's relevant, that's professionally relevant, because you do have two sides of the coin. There's being professionally relevant and then personally relevant, right? So like something that if you know something about them, for instance, that let's say you had a conversation and that they're an Oklahoma Sooner fan. Okay. And some post that was interesting about the Sooners happened and you shared that post with them. That's totally fine. I think that's being personally relevant. Being professionally relevant is being that go-to source for information about what they're trying to do, buying or selling. And so, you can, and I think that you're better served by, not trying to be weird about it, but trying to purposely give them content and information that's going to help them with where they're at the stage that they're at. Because then they're going to be, attracted to you as opposed to feeling like you're trying to chase them down. But yeah, for sure on social media, liking a post, commenting on something. Hey, I'm a huge fan of this or that or whatever, like, similar interest. When you can find something that you have the similar interest, that's really what selling is. All right. Like people don't do business with anyone that they don't know, like, and trust. And so like is a big part of that. And so how do we create, a situation where people feel like, hey, that person's like me. Is building rapport, connect and become their best friend, and finding some similarities, some things that you have in common. That's getting people to like you. Most real estate agents that are really successful are really good at finding some commonality where that like is created, where people, oh, I like this person, they're just like me, right? And so I used to do it when I go on a listing appointment. I mean, the minute I'm pulling up in the yard, I remember Mike had asked me, Reese had asked me, he said, hey man, what do you think you're the best in the world at? I said, man, I don't know. I said, it's probably getting listings, because at the time I was going on 5 listing appointments a day. And I was trying to document the system, the process, because I learned all these things over all these years, but I never had documented it where I was going to teach it to somebody. So I started really paying attention to, hey, why am I doing this thing? Why am I doing this thing? What is this process? Why am I doing these things? And I was doing them second nature, but there was principles that I distilled it down to. And one of the things was, instantly trying to build rapport. And with both parties, this was for listings. And when I pull in the driveway, the first thing I would notice, like I would see this dude had a Harley Davidson truck. He had a Harley in the garage. He had an OU mailbox. Man, this is an easy one, right? Like I could connect with this guy. Right. Then as you're walking through the property, you're looking for things for similarities and something to connect with. Right. And then it's a key part of the selling process. If you can do that early in the stages, at the top of the funnel, and have a conversation and really get to know them, I think you're way better off. And I think using social media to do that as a way to do that is just another way that you can use to, again, try to make that connection and likability and trust. Okay.
So let's talk about the touches as well. So you got top of funnel, middle funnel, bottom of funnel. How many touches should we be doing to keep relevant on each one of those stages for the client?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I think that, what's most important is the quality of the quality of what's being sent. You don't want to, I've seen a lot of campaigns where, you're hitting people with all these different things that may or may not be relevant. And so the last thing you want to do is send an email that's not relevant, because then they don't click, right? So, you really want to, make sure that you're sending things that they're actually clicking on and viewing. So market updates are always super relevant for anybody who's buying or selling. People want to know what's going on in the marketplace.
So you don't want to just shove houses down their throat, like constantly send them house. Like,
yeah, I mean, I think you want to. Yeah, well, so here's what, like with most of the systems today, and most agents have some type of system or whatever. KV Core Chime, all these different ones there. Those are the 2 that we work with the most. I mean, there's a dozen or more of them. It's an IDX feed. What I want to do is I want to understand timing and motivation of the buyer, and then I want to understand what parameters and what they're looking for. And then I want to get them connected to me as the source for all homes that they're looking at. Right. So I'm going to ask them, would you like to receive these daily, or would you like to receive them weekly, or, how often would you like to receive homes? They could always go in and set up their own settings, but I'm going to set it up for success right out of the gate based on what they're interested in. Because most of these systems will track when they come back online, and you can set up, like in KV Core, you can set up behavioral alerts. Hey, if somebody come back to the site and they haven't been there in 3 weeks, hey, this person just came back and hasn't been here in a while. Might be a good time to reach out to them. They're in real estate mode again. Or somebody favorites a property, or, I think one of the behavioral alerts is, they look at something, the same property 3 times. Okay. That to me is a, hey, I'm interested in this, because they don't know that you can see that, but now you can personally reach out and say, hey, send them that specific property. Like, hey, I saw this property. It kind of looked like it might match what you were looking for. What are your thoughts? They're going to be like, oh my God, I looked at that one today. Right now, they're like, this guy knows what I'm looking for. Right. So you can use these tools to help build rapport and can make connections and things like that. But I want to take them off of Zillow, off of these other sites and whatnot, and make sure that they're getting everything that they need. I don't want to limit it. Right. So if they have a super high limited thing that they're looking for, I might advise them, hey, let me broaden that out. Like, I'm always looking for something on acreage. And if you ask me, I'm going to tell you I want 5 acres, but I might buy something on 2.5. So, you want to make sure you include most everything so they can see everything that's going on. And as they get closer to time to do something, you can start whittling that down to, exactly what they're looking for. And ideally, you're trying to get face to face with them, get a buyer brokerage agreement signed, and then go look at property. I think not all agents have that philosophy and have been taught that. But it is required that you disclose in almost every state, how you're representing them. And then number two, of course, we see this lawsuit going on with NAR and all this. What happens if you had to, we've been saying this since 2010. What happens if you had to convince the buyer to pay your half of the commission? Are you relevant? Are they finding a house first and then choosing you as the agent? Or are you establishing the value proposition of how you're going to represent them and save them money over the course of the home buying process? And they want you to represent them in the sale. That's a different, that's a whole nother training conversation. But we
can talk about this for hours. Honestly, this is great stuff. And I do have one last question for you. And this is kind of like more bottom funnel situation. You got somebody, they're ready to transact in the next couple of months. You're sending them a bunch of houses, but what winds up happening is they go see the house, and if it's not your listing, they have the listing agent number right in front of them, and they call the listing agent.
Yeah.
How do you? I don't know if there's a way to avoid that, but how would you try to avoid something like that?
Well, so this goes back to what we were just talking about. Like there's a certain point where the face-to-face appointment becomes the next metric, right? Like if they're 90 days out and they're going to buy something in the next 90 days, I am setting the appointment from that conversation. When I know, hey, yeah, we're going to be doing something in the next 90 days. I don't want them out going and looking at houses on their own. I want to be showing them those properties. So I don't want them to find
the houses with addresses.
Right. Well, no, I don't. I'm okay with that. But like, if they're 90 days out and I haven't gotten face to face, then I have to work on my skills, because you, as an agent, you should know 90 days from now, if I haven't met with you face to face, I'm not your agent.
Right.
The potential to lose that person is real. And so you better have a good script for how you're going to set that appointment. Hey guys, I know that it's, based on, what you told me, you guys were, about 90 days out. What might make sense is for us to maybe get together, have a little conversation on exactly what you guys are looking for. I'd like to show you how we're going to represent you when it comes to the negotiation, and just educate you to the entire process. When would be a good time for us to get together? And then your ability to set that appointment is going to determine your success in conversion. But if you wait and you're just hoping that they reach out to you, man, it's the statistic is 90-something% of agents do business with the first agent they talk to. That you have a good chance of getting the business, but not if you haven't really formed a relationship and gotten face to face with them. And again, I want to present my value proposition. As a seller, I had a value proposition. We have a proven, repeatable system backed by market research to sell homes for up to 18% more than the methods of traditional real estate agents. Would you like for me to show you how we do that? That is a value proposition. On the buy side, you have to have a value proposition. Why should I hire you, have you represent me in the purchase of real estate? And so, the great thing is right now, the MLS, it's in the MLS. You get paid by what the sellers offer to pay. But you want to be able to articulate so much value on the buy side that they say, man, shoot, I would be crazy not to have you represent me. And the best way to do that is throughout this entire funnel to have been adding value and building trust, right? If you're just calling them and following up and they really don't know who you are, and you're not doing anything to add value along the way, then you're just you're a commodity. You're like a cup of coffee. You're not Starbucks. You're not special. So you have to again, going back to the very beginning of this conversation, is the focus has to be around adding value, because when you add value, you build trust, and when you build trust, you can you're going to get a higher percentage of those people that come to you and want to do business and want you to represent them, right?
Right. Well, thank you so much, Jay. This has been, I know we could keep talking about this for hours, but
I love this stuff, man.
Since I know you have other calls, thank you so much for giving just a small bit of your knowledge that you have on this topic. And we'll definitely do this again on another day. Once again, Jay Kender, eXp Realty. Thank you so much for your time today.
You got it, man. Appreciate it.
Right.
Yep.
Bye-bye.